What's the Ayurvedic sense of bronchitis or any lung?
Yeah, so for the lung, it's basically what I've understood in the emotions is your heart chakra and your throat chakra. So heart chakra is all about compassion, love, anahat. So anahat is basically unstuck. For you to be healing your heart chakra is the most critical aspect of healing any lung issue. And itis means inflammation. So there is something not going right in your space when it comes to love.
Right.
And your
Or
personal
maybe loving yourself.
Yeah, loving yourself. Maybe in the past you felt you're not loved enough. Or maybe you felt you don't belong. Or maybe you feel that you cannot express love enough. So many things.
Or maybe you
right?
had a loss.
So many things. Grieving about something.
Grieving is such a big
thing.
emotion.
And I think especially after pandemic,
We're grieving the loss of
lot.
what we had, or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
business that we had, the lifestyle that we had, the relationships that we had.
So there's a lot of PTSD rise right now after pandemic.
It's interesting because, you know, looking back at even, I know I shared this yesterday, we had a book launch, and I think even going through some of the diseases my parents had, because my mom had breast cancer, and then it spread to her lungs, and she ultimately passed of lung cancer. My dad had stage 4 lung cancer 3 years later, and passed, 10 months
so
later.
sorry.
And then my brother, in between those two, he suddenly died of an asthma attack. So again, lungs.
Yeah.
So, and that's grief. So you're saying it's literally the heart chakra and not being able to process some of those really big emotions.
Absolutely.
You said also something about the throat. Tell us a little bit more about that, because I feel like nowadays people are getting this inflammation of the thyroid.
Yes.
And in Ayurveda, not being able to speak your truth, right?
Yes.
So can you unpack that for us?
So what I realize is that
Because a lot of women go through this.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of women, if you see the society that has been the way it was, it's a lot of patriarchal society. So there were women at any, I think, any age, any geography you have seen are constantly thinking that they can be the best only when they think for other person. So all of us are trying to fill other people's cup and not really paying attention to ourselves. So I think there is a lot of suppression that is happening in understanding that it's not either or. You can do both.
Right.
And that is something that is causing a lot of toxic, elements inside. Because at the end, I feel it's not the gender that matters. What matters is your evolution. And as long as you are evolving, we do need to pay attention to our evolution as much as we're paying attention to other people's. So I think there's a lot of self-expression and self-esteem issue. And it's generational. It's not, I think, the individual, because sometimes we also see that the patterns are running through the family.
Yes.
And maybe the manifestation is happening at this generation.
Right.
Or sometimes it's also happening that, there's a conflict in women today. Right? What I saw of my mother, what I saw of my grandmother.
Right.
They were not working, they were at home, and now I'm here. I want to take care of my home also. I want to take care of my work also. There's so much conflict. And what are our role models when it comes to working? Men, right? So the conflicting energies, feminine, masculine, imbalance. And the moment the feminine and masculine goes in imbalance, it first affects the endocrine glands.
Oh. Hence the hyperthyroid,
Absolutely.
hypothyroid.
Absolutely.
Because we're either being too much in our masculine, not enough in our feminine.
Absolutely. There's no harmony. Balance won't be there probably, but we can have an harmony. I see a lot of PCOS. When I was practicing back then, I started seeing suddenly a lot of PCOS on rise, because there is some sort of a feeling that I am, as a woman, not enough. I need to be that gender to create that success. Or I've heard this like 25 years back when I was ambitious and thinking that I want to do this. I've heard from people, my own family members, that, oh, as a woman, you can't be that ambitious. As a woman, you have to do this first and not this first. So there's so many conflicting ideas, right, around.
And there's such a rise of PCOS,
Absolutely.
polycystic ovarian syndrome. it's become, so rampant.
Absolutely.
And you're saying it's because of the emotional manifestation of what we've been suppressing. So now that we know the issues, and many of these patients have been coming to you for 20 plus years, what was the protocol, or how somebody is listening to this now and is like, okay, I'm on board. What do I need to do? How do I start healing?
Yeah. So the first thing I would say is repair your past. You've got to go back, and it's not just your life. Because a lot of times people say that, but I had a great childhood. My parents never stopped me from doing this, and I was doing this. It's not just you. You're not a one unit in this universe. We all come from, like, if you just calculate the 9 past generations, we are probably standing on more than 4,000 ancestors' shoulders.
Yes.
So that means there's so much that is coming through your DNA. So going inwards to identify where is your discomfort in your body in terms of who you are. So the first thing is that I know it's not easy, but probably self-inquiry would be something that I would, and being honest, there's this drop your judgments towards anything. The first thing I think we start judging ourselves and thinking about, I should be doing this, or I should not be doing this. Why am I doing this? Things like that. So drop the judgment and just go back and say, okay, this is me, and who really am I? Now I know it can't be a blanket question like that,
Right.
but literally going back and thinking that what sort of facades that I put on myself that I'm truly not.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times, especially in this society, in this culture that we have, it's all about the beliefs that are layered upon the beliefs of whoever is living with you, the aunties, the uncles, the brothers, your parents, the grandparents, the pleasing of the elders, and what the expectations, and it's so layered and layered that I don't think we even know what our truest core belief systems are, or they're actually formed from the tiniest thing that happened to us when we were 4 or 5 or 2,
or even in the womb.
Yes, even in the womb.
And especially with women, because we somehow are talking about women right now, especially the women, I think the womb passes the previous traumas of the previous generations.
Yeah.
So it's a lot going on in your space to realize that who you truly are, like who you want to become. If you don't get it, I know it's a lifelong inquiry, but at least to begin with that first step, that who you are right now and who you want to become.
I mean, it's huge, and for those who are listening to this and they're skeptical and they're like, I don't know, what is the things that you've noticed when people started to repair their past and they started to do the work of healing and more self-love with themselves?
A lot of excavation, a lot of can of worms. A lot of, a mirror, like where you start realizing that, oh, all my life, see, a lot of people, I realize that, first of all, people come into this journey for 2 reasons. The first reason is they want to heal themselves so that they can prove that they have not done anything wrong and the other people have done something wrong to them. Okay, those are the people, those who keep struggling because they don't see the result.
Right, they're not taking personal responsibility.
Yeah, they're taking responsibility, but to prove other person wrong.
So it's still not a full personal responsibility.
It's not. And the second person who comes in this journey is, I don't care what happened to me in the past, but I want to heal myself, just to heal myself so that I can create something beautiful in the future. I think those are the second ones, those who actually accelerate their journey. And what I realize is that there's a lot that comes out that you need to really process. And a lot of times the resistance within us does not allow us to process that for one single reason, that we feel that if I accept what is came out right now, then the entire life that I lived seems to be a lie.
Oh, wow.
And that is like, I don't want to believe that I lived a lie.
Yeah.
So I keep continuing lying to myself more and more and more.
And at the expense of who? Yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just, it's been interesting because being in, India, coming back, seeing family over the last 3 weeks, I feel like my nervous system has like truly been on overdrive. And I'm like, oh my goodness, because then I see, the cousins and the other sister-in-laws and all of the relatives and everyone's telling me what's going on, what's really going on with them. And, don't tell this person or don't tell that person or let's not say it in front of her and it's like constant like stories and we make meaning of what other people think of us. So then we react to those things. And then the drama keeps growing and growing and growing. But nobody's actually having brave conversations to say, is that what you really meant when you said that? Is it actually not okay that I go out and have a cup of coffee or even a drink with, a friend that I haven't seen in a while? How do you start to, navigate interpersonal dynamics for even your patients when they're first starting to even maybe find their voice?
Yeah.